My name is Bill Reynolds, and I work for Alberta Agriculture, the provincial government in Alberta, and presently looking at local food system strategic planning and policy. Well, if we're looking at the broad perspective and we're looking at economic opportunity here, our focus, then we have to think about the consumer. So that's where we have to pay attention to our good old consumer. And what we're seeing now is a shift, really, in purchasing behavior and a shift in values. And these are the things that we have to pay attention to, because that's going to really be some drivers in the local food system. And really, I think kind of three main areas: A, B, and T. Surprised you, right? Okay, so A stands for attributes in food, and B stands for benefits in life, and T is actually this idea of transparency. And transparency, people are looking more for, where does food come from? How is it being produced? How is it grown? How is it raised? How is it made? So these three factors here are really things that we need to pay attention to as part of this consumer shift in their purchasing behavior. And from the food attributes, if we start with me, because everyone's concerned about me, right? What's in it for me? The body. And then we go out in some concentric circles. So people are very concerned about what's going into their body, right? We've almost come to the point of realization, I think, that food is the most important drug that we put in our body. So we're looking at the attributes of that food that's going in, and the more concern around healthy attributes, right? As we move out a little bit beyond the body, then we're actually looking at the family and the concern about especially young mothers. We have to pay attention to that part of the consumer base, and actually seniors. They're becoming more interested in health around the family and the other people within that unit. And then just a little bit beyond that is actually the community, or sometimes known as society, and actually even before community maybe is neighborhood. So there's this concept of growing out. Once you've looked after some Maslow's hierarchy of needs, once you've looked after your internal food for yourself, your family, then you start to get more concerned about, is everyone in the community actually getting access to food? And all of these things are connected to stuff that we have to pay attention to. The other thing that's happening in community is that we see a rise in something called social enterprise organizations, SEOs. And that's where the community, so it's not only going outwards this way from the body like that, but we're also moving in a little bit too. That the community is supporting through something called slow money. There's a movement that's happening there. We need to pay attention to that. It's about investment in the community through social capital, through patient capital. And it's this concept of the slow money group, their motto, I love it. It's investing as if food, farms, and fertility mattered. Now, that fertility word we're going to get back to. We're going to look at another circle here, and just outside of community then, we start to look at the concept of economy. If we have a healthy person and a healthy family and a healthy community, it leads towards this healthy economy. And another circle then is the environment. And to a degree, these are not solid circles. These are blending. These are dotted lines. And all of these areas are interfacing. And really, there's kind of three components to this that we're seeing that consumer being interested in. And one of them is animal welfare. Another one is what I like to call soil welfare. And the last thing, and this is about healthiness again, right? Healthiness of the animals, healthiness of the soil, which is all eventually going into our body. And then the last thing is this concept of RW, recovery waste. Or this brings up some new opportunities because, well, even the concept of waste, that's a human concept. If you're looking at the natural environment, there is no waste. It all gets used over and over again, right? But we create this waste in the food system, and we have to look at this as a huge opportunity to recover that waste. So there is no such thing as waste. And we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. So all of this is impacting the consumer and this areas, like I said, that we need to pay attention to. The last thing I think we need to pay attention to is the idea of P-R-O-F, what's the next letters I'm going to say there? Profit, maybe? No, I'm actually going to talk about profile. But it's funny, the first four letters are the same. What we're seeing is this rise in profile of the local food system. And it's being manifested in a lot of different ways. And so we need to pay attention to this in the sense that there are now campaigns that are being done for local food, and mayors are coming out and saying, you need to spend $10 of your shopping dollar on buying local food in the immediate area. Challenges like that, okay? So the other things on profiles, we all know about farmers markets, the rise in numbers of people going to them, the rise in actual farmers markets themselves. We're seeing a rise in profile about not just a normal farmers market, but also farmers markets that are mobile, that are called sometimes pocket markets. So they appear in a hospital parking lot or something like that, in a downtown area where there's lots of people gathering. So we're also seeing local food appear on menus, right? So the profile of, you're actually seeing not only the type of food you're going to eat, but where it actually came from, the name of the farm. So we're seeing that in grocery stores. We're seeing labels that are being put onto products that are actually saying not only maybe the region, the farm, the region, and the province or state that it comes from, but we're also seeing these, the little funny squiggles, QR codes. I think they're called QR codes. You can scan that. You can get more information about the actual farm. So they're putting a face on the food in addition to that direct relationship that you get through a farmer's market. So all this profile raising around local food is something we need to pay attention to.